When did Christian rock become kind of good?
That reminded me of a story that I will never forget from parenting my son. In about grade 11, he was part of a garage band, literally in a garage, in the best place they could be because it was an abandoned farm site about a kilometer from Killam, so they could make as much noise as they wanted. And it just had a padlock on the door of the garage, and yet there was their equipment and stuff. And so I got home from a church meeting on a school night, and he wasn't home yet. It was after 10, which was supposed to be home time. And I said, I'm going out to the garage. And Bob said, oh, cut them some slack. And so I went and I had my bubble bath and tried to just relax. And next thing I knew, I heard all these voices. I said, all four of the band members and Bob, blah, 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 blah. So I came out in my house robe, and the first thing my son said to me is, Mom, I was beginning to think you didn't love me enough to get mad. He said, I kept telling the guys, don't worry, my mom will blow a gasket. She'll be out here. Because this guy had come out that they called a garage band wannabe, and was hanging out with them, and they were like trying to get rid of him, and then he locked them in as he left. And so typical grade 11 guys, the drummer guy, James, he says to me, Jan, I had to pee in a bottle, for goodness sakes, you know. Where were you? So those are magic words to a mother's heart, you know. I was beginning to believe you didn't love me enough to get mad. And the guy came back and unlocked them and said, ha ha ha. That's how they did it.
Oh, and one other thing, your son is now members of which band?
Nothing famous.
Oh, Gun No Lakes. How did that work for your son? Nickelback.
That's Hannah's name. My son still plays, but not in any particular band. Just whoever he finds to take music with.
Holly has a friend. Holly is a friend. Thank you. That's Toy Story, right? That's super cool. Because so far in song we've covered the kind of song you might hear at a wedding, a mother's love or anger, whichever. Same thing. Love of a friend. I don't know if you're familiar with Brene Brown, but I came across some videos. Well, it's actually probably one continuous video that they've edited into small pieces. And here's a clip of Brene Brown talking about it's love made flesh. She explains Jesus, basically. I just want to say, by the way, ahead of all of these videos, the interviewer's a twerp. But Brene's awesome. So here's Brene Brown.
We would automatically go to like unicorns and rainbows. And so you would have to send someone to show what love in the flesh looked like. You would have to send, what does love look like? And so otherwise we would romanticize it. We would turn it, we would make it easy. Because that's who we are as people. We're going to make it easy. And so then Jesus comes and says, okay, I am love. I sit with the people you're not allowed to talk to. I do all the hard things. I make all the hard choices. I love the people that are unlovable. I feed the people who are not supposed to be taken care of. I don't tolerate shame. I don't tolerate attacks. Like, I'm love, and it's hard and messy and dirty. And if you really love, I mean fierce, big love, you'll become dangerous to people. And so there's no way that most of us could have understood what love was without seeing what love looked like. So to me, it makes perfect sense. And so God is love, and Jesus is what love looks like made flesh. And it's hard, and it's not the default, and it has nothing to do with rainbows and unicorns and fluffy stuffed animals. It's about choosing what's right over what's easy. And we don't want love to do that.
Just like to revise my earlier comment and say I love the interviewer. You'll see what I mean later. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I think one question that always comes to my mind when I try, or not a question, an answer, when I try to explain to people basically what my faith means to me or what Jesus means to me, and to me it's living, if we are to pattern our lives after this man named Jesus Christ, who did he walk with? Where did he walk? Who did he love? Who did he show compassion to? So much like she was saying, I think that's one thing that whenever people kind of ask about faith or anything, it's just, to me, it's not so much the politics of religion, and we could get into a big discussion, but just break it down to what he was, and he was love, and who did he love? And that's kind of what I think she's saying.
One of the things that video made me think about, when I think about people that I try to sort of, I guess, think of as role models, or people that I try to aspire to live similar to, one of those people for me is an uncle of mine who passed away about 8 years ago. And so my dad's older brother, his name was Tim, and he lived in Ottawa, and I went to school in Ottawa for 4 years. So I spent, for a short window of my life, I spent a lot of time with this man. And even outside of those 4 years, saw him as much as I could. But especially during that formative point of part of my life, from 18 to 22, where you're figuring out a lot of stuff as a young person, I was around him a lot. And my parents were far away, so weekends was supper at Uncle Tim's house. And he and his partner had friends around them all the time. So it was always a household where there was lots of people coming over. There was always dinner parties happening. And one of the things that always stuck with me about Uncle Tim's circle of love was that the people that he shared his love with were so diverse, and so it so reminds me of Jesus, that he just loved everybody and anybody, and people were in his life for all kinds of different reasons, and they would meet each other, people that would never have met otherwise, because they had Tim in common. And it was the only thing they had in common. He would meet someone at a gay bar and take them to another friend's house for a dinner party, and those people were super conservative, and they never would have met. But because of Tim, and his love for all the people in his life, he created lots of connections around him. And he just, such a colorful, vibrant love that was for anybody and everybody, all shapes and sizes and backgrounds and ethnicities. And he spoke 4 languages, so that even multiplied his networks even more. And that video was great. It just made me think about Tim and how I try to not put conditions on my love, because that's one of the things that I try to aspire to. Yeah.
As I watched that video, I thought about today, actually, and Holly and I and Sarah had the opportunity to meet a man who was homeless again in our community. And I thought about all the people over the last year or so that have come into our offices and have needed a lot of love and a lot of people to care about them. And I realized as I'm watching this video that we find that this community is really great at finding the love for those people, and those hard people that other people have actually maybe moved them out of their communities because there's no place for them to go. And so then I'm tortured with the fact that the systems I don't have a lot of love for. And I can't find it. And so I'm thinking, as I'm listening to this, is how do you find that? How do you find that you're not angry all the time about the way people have been treated? And vice versa, right? Either way, everybody needs love. So that's what I was thinking about.
So in just a minute, when we watch another clip of Brene Brown and she says all that stuff, remember you guys said it first, right? Okay. Carrie and Tegan and Mark have a song, In the Blood.
These girls have pipes. Yeah. Oh, I should probably.
Do you want a mic, by a contemporary artist named John Mayer. And my husband does a lot of driving with his line of work, so when he finds a cool song on, like, what's that station?
I don't sing.
The Coffee House, or something like that, he always will send it to us to listen to. And this song in particular, he talks about kind of being raised, and will the love that he kind of witnessed his whole life and how he felt truly define who he is as a man? And will it always be there, or can it be changed? Can it be relearned? And so what I take from it is, we all come from, like, more the family aspect. We all come from homes and different experiences. But the love that we have, I find, you know, as the decades kind of slowly tick by here, it changes. And the love I feel that I felt towards my family, you know, in the 20s, 30s, it ends up redefining itself. And I kind of call it a relearning path. And as I see my daughters and our son, you know, the odd time they'll make a comment or the old roll of the eyes, that is me. And I'm thinking, holy, it really is in the blood. So, best be careful. No, just kidding. But yeah, just to, I don't know, to me it just spoke of family love and of times where, you know, you might have struggled in the past with your family or different financial situations, whatever it may be. But just that as you go through, how that love kind of softens as you get older, and how you maybe realize you're able to put yourself more in the other person's position as we mature. It's kind of where I was going. Tegan, what do you think?
Same thing.
Yeah, that's it. Ditto. And Mark, you're good?
Yeah, sometimes you look at your parents and go, is that me? And I don't know, I probably haven't really, I was too focused on trying to learn the chords. But yeah, it's a nice song, and it speaks to your family and where you come from, so. So. Ready? That.
Will
moment's not over, guys.
I would also like to thank Mark and his big heart for joining us, and Andrea and Holly and everybody, and Ben, everybody, just Robin, just thank you all for including us here.
Thank you.
I think we confuse it with happy. I think we confuse it with pleasure. I think we confuse it with short. I always think about, here's the thing that I always think is weird. You look at Jesus as the greatest teacher, right? About love. All of his lessons were about love. All his parables were about love. And so you have Jesus as the most important teacher in our story, in the Christian story, about love, right?
And gay people. We talk a lot about that.
Shut up.
Okay, sorry.
So you have Jesus as this great teacher of love. And he's naked, or he's in robes or sandals, and he's teaching us, and he's living love, and he's sharing power with. And he's not respectful at all of power over. And then you have churches that are created that are all power over. And you have priests and pastors and rectors in these vestments that are like, and you got naked Jesus, the best teacher, and then these like completely armored, you know, I mean, worse than the military uniforms, completely armored clergy. And so we just have moved away. We've moved away from love and power with.
So, thoughts, anybody? No commentary on whether or not I wear a gown, please.
As she was talking about the fallacies and mistakes that we make as churches, I thought, you know, we often as individuals will also have really great intentions of doing things that we think are coming from a place of loving and supporting people. But sometimes when we approach the people around us as broken or needing fixing, or, oh, I'm going to help this person, from my experience, I know that I'll sometimes be doing that in a way that I think I'm just doing this loving thing. But the message that sometimes conveys is, you need my help, or you are broken, or you need fixing, which insinuates that I am better than you. I've got it all figured out, and I'm going to help you because I'm such a great person. And so I think a lot of us do that. I think it's a very human thing that we do. And I'm starting to become more conscious of the fact that I'm doing that, and the story that can also, the message that can subconsciously send to others, that they're inferior or that they need fixing. Or so I think it's something that, like the church doesn't set out to be, you know, putting their thumb on people and having power over, but sometimes when we view someone as needing help or needing support, if we're doing that from a place of, I've got it all figured out, and this poor person, we can be sending that message that really comes across as power over instead of power with. So I think sometimes the best way to have power with someone, like I love the way she says it, is to believe in their own power, to believe, you know, you can do this, you have the strength, you have the, and I'm here if you need me kind of thing, but to not